What's up, everybody? Welcome to WooWoo Wednesday. Alright, big surprise, this changed again. Partially because last week just fucking sucked and there wasn't something right about it. And also, I think I could have made it better since we clearly have some other priorities. So I shifted around how the entire day is laid out. The movement prep portion involved spending some time in certain positions and breathing. So I did a deep, third world type shit in the woods squat and just stayed there for accumulated about 4 total minutes. I'm going to work up to 5 to 10 minutes in that position until it gets comfortable. So I did that and then went into some obviously jumping on the trampoline, which I'm just going to preface, the whole day looks dumb. So it put it together in a circuit to make it feel less dumb and to give me less time to bitch out about doing the movement, which it worked. This was actually a lot more fun than last week. But from the positional breathing into then the bouncing on the trampoline, that has a lot of benefits for the lymphatic system, but it also gets me feeling kind of bouncy and light on my feet. And since that's the nature of this day, using the trampoline to be bouncy and light on your feet before jumping and trying to do things on your feet and learning things about how you move, it was a great warm-up. So like that, followed it with the RMT rope, which you're seeing here. Idea with that is to then just get the hands and feet talking to each other and loosen the entire body up. So did 3 total rounds of those things. No set number of time or reps or anything, just jump until I feel like I got what I needed to out of that. Do the rope until I felt like it loosened me up and I can kind of feel my body weight influencing the rope rather than me just twisting it. And once I felt good with all those things, then I moved on. So the main change is I have taken all of the different skills that I want to work on, being the crawling, the jumping, the running, just general coordination and human movement, things like that. So I put them together in a circuit based on the theme of the movement that they are. You can see I started with the crawl. I'm just working on the hands and knees kind of baby crawl and getting that to not feel awkward. That was much better this week than last. Here you can see I'm doing some rolling. I'm just working on twisting on the floor without using my hands or feet. And then I did a little bit of getting up and down off the ground. Didn't kind of think of that until the last set, but just working on general ground skills. Can you get up off the floor? Can I roll around? And getting better at those. So followed the rolling then with some jumps up to the Bosu ball. I included in this video here, these are the last, I believe, 2 of 5 total sets. And so each set, as kind of standard for me, each set something changed, or I could feel different things happening or feel different levels of coordination in my body. And so on these last 2 sets, the jumps finally felt like I was pushing off of the floor instead of just trying to swing my arms to get momentum up onto the box. So all the different things worked really great. The crawling in particular, since I came at it with a different attitude this week, rather than thinking of it as working on a regression of a movement or on the basic movement pattern I shouldn't suck at, that's just kind of was my conception with it. I looked at it more as, let's approach the act of crawling from the mindset of trying to be stealthy and connect with the ground. And so since I did that and came at it that way, I ended up then also being a lot more aware of where my center line was on my body, particularly down around by my diaphragm, and just where that was staying constant as my arms and legs were moving around that as a center point. That was a new thing that I noticed. I noticed that I was able to kind of reach and think of my hands and feet both as hands or as sensors. And so even though I was crawling on my knees, I found myself reaching with the hips, especially when going backwards, and reaching with kind of the feet and the knees, and I became aware of what I was feeling through even my kneecaps in that crawl position. So that was kind of cool. And after 5 sets of that, the things that it did to coordinate my shoulders and hips were pretty cool. Even though I didn't want to do it, I got some cool things out of it. And it felt way less derpy than last week. So I'm actually a little bit more open. Maybe we use excited, low level excited to feel those things progress and feel less awkward with them. So did the crawling, did the jumping up to the Bosu. That also went well. I was still working around that little bit of a zinger I gave to my hammy last week during the run from overstriding. I don't feel it on any of the movements that I do during the week except for stride-based things. I kind of refelt it a little bit when I was at the park with the kids over the weekend. So decided to just use the pulsers this week instead of running outside, although that will eventually replace this. I think we're going to probably do like one or two more weeks of just kind of nailing that pulse and just getting it better. I'm starting to actually feel it work now. So I think if we do that, by the time we come back to the run with all of the other things having some time to improve, that it will actually feel a lot better and I won't have to think about it as much, or at least that's the goal. So here you can see this is smoothing out. I look like a nice sultry Sex Panther, or maybe an ugly version of Striptease from the 90s. I don't know. But they felt less awkward here, and I can feel some actual coordination between the top and bottom. So that was nice. From the pulsar work into a med ball slam. Again, I'm talking about these out of order, but I kind of did them in different orders. The med ball slam, I wish I had something a little heavier. I think this was just like a 4-pounder, but basically trying to drive as much force down into the ground while also reactively catching the ball and not catching it with my face, which took a few sets to kind of figure out. It also wanted to bounce in weird directions, so it took until I think the third set, as simple of an exercise as that should be in my mind, but it took about 3 sets to start doing it consistently in the same spot, catching it with a good rhythm, and then I could focus more just on the force rather than on the coordination. So there was something to be gleaned from that as well. In that category, there will also be throws. So I went for a slam this week because didn't really want to look stupid outside. But that eventually will also be things like throws with that smallest tire that you see down there on the left side of the screen. I'd like to throw that kind of like a bale of hay, or just kind of do an over the head throw, or I can do a rotational throw, things like that. And eventually we'll get a better slam ball or something maybe. We'll see. But that's kind of what I'm getting out of the slams for right now. The cool thing that I felt towards the last 2 sets here is, since I am syncing an inhale with when I'm bringing the ball up and behind my head, and I'm very intentionally keeping my hips fully extended, I could actually feel these open up my hips and tie them in with the lats as well. So this now being a couple hours after the workout, I feel good, and I also like the stupid med ball slams. It was not a bad idea. Let's see, what else did we do? Sledgehammer was fun, and it was a good idea because it left us with at least one thing that feels aggressive, since everything else feels a little bit derpy and frustrating. That was just beat the shit out of the hammer. Did something around 10 swings a side. Used, I think it's a 16-pound hammer. We smashed the tire with it. So that is also good. Mimics chopping wood, mimics just swinging things around. It's a basic movement. I could also see using maces here or clubs. I just only have the shoulder rock. So today we went with the hammer, but that could have also been shoulder rock swings. I'm gonna keep working on that as well. I've got it as a warm-up on one of the days. I think it's the Friday workout, but I would like to actually get better with the mace as a tool as well. And eventually I'd like to get some clubs and all that stuff, but for now I have plenty of improvement I can do with the tools I have at hand. RMT club work would also go on this day here, but again, we're working on enough things. Main things right now: don't suck at crawling, start to feel semi-coordinated, be able to jump, be able to run with a decent form, and after all of those things, then we'll worry about mastering other implements, unless of course they support me in doing those things. So this is the re-envisioned WooWoo Wednesday. Did total of 5 rounds through this whole circuit here. This kind of doubles as restorative work, a bit of conditioning. Obviously there's room to make this more difficult. Lots of balance training, lots of sensory training, Lots of regressive foundational movements done in a way where I'm getting a lot of benefits out of it. So my mood feels good, my brain feels clear, my body feels loose and recovered from the Monday training, and I actually improved at a few things that I sucked at on the same day. So that's how you do a positive reframe and extract the benefits out of the day, even though you didn't necessarily like the whole thing as it was happening. So and also the single leg balance thing. Sorry. So what I did is I need to also get better on each leg, because if I want to run better, running happens on one leg, let's be honest. So did some balance work at the end of each set. What I did that was really cool that I liked was putting it at the end of each set. So after the more heart rate challenging things like the sledgehammer, the slamming, jumping, all that, and again, that will get more difficult as this workout progresses, but rather than trying to put it at the beginning as prep work, I recovered in a single leg position. So stand on each leg until the heart rate comes down, until the breath rate comes down, and then I'm able to use that as like an active rest while then also training and practicing balance. So that's a really cool way to do that. Plus, being on one leg, especially that deep into this workout, you really feel yourself shift into each hip. So it kind of helps reposition your skeleton a bit as well. So that's actually it. Here's the whole day. The whole thing was cool. That's the cool stuff I did. I recovered on one leg, and it's all the things I can remember. Talk to you on Friday.